Assalamualaikum and greeting to Dr. and all. We are from Group A. Our group member are Muhammad Fikri bin Roslan, S55575, Siti Nur Afifah binti Daud, S55756, Nur Iman Syirah binti Muhammad Zahri, S55885, and Muhammad Zubairi bin Muhammad Zaini, S557. This pollution, and our topic is ship cost oil spill in Malacca Strait.
Hi, I am Nur Iman Syirah binti Zamri. So right now I will talk about the introduction of ship-caused oil spills in the Malacca Straits. First and foremost, the Malacca and Singapore Straits are among the busiest shipping lanes in the world and they play an important role in global trade. Geographically, the Malacca and Singapore Strait is shallow and fairly narrow on its eastern side, resulting in one of the world's most important traffic choke points. Besides, shipping is the conventional method of transporting bulk materials and items from one location to another throughout the world. According to Part 3 of the LOSC Law of the Sea Convention 1982, every ship has the right to use the Strait of Malacca and Singapore for transit passage through straits used for international navigation. These statements are mentioned by Terashima 2008 and Rusli 2012. In fact, the direct control of the Strait of Malacca and Singapore is shared between Malaysia, Indonesia and also Singapore. The international legal framework governing marine environmental protection has been implemented in the Malacca and Singapore Straits. As little states to the Malacca Strait, Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore have ratified and domesticated the LOSC and important IMO conventions into their national legislation. However, global trade activities in the Malacca and Singapore Straits are critical for the growth of the littoral states' economies because the straits serve as the entry point into the state's internal waters. Due to their geographical advantages in connecting the Indian and Pacific Oceans, the Straits of Malacca and Singapore have become important sea communication routes. The increase in shipping activities has posed a challenge in terms of navigational safety and marine environmental protection, both of which lead to significant financial losses for seafarers and environmental damage. According to Dahalan et al. 2013, mentioned the littoral state should take steps to ensure navigational safety in order to protect and preserve the strait's marine environment. Last but not least, the Malacca and Singapore Straits are impacted by oil pollution caused by ship operations such as bilge pumping and tank cleaning, which result in the dumping of oil and sludge by ocean-going vessels, as well as may cause marine accident and will have an impact on the marine environment in the Malacca Strait and the Singapore Strait. Below are few relevant domestic laws in the analysis of the marine pollution regulation in the Malaysian Territorial Sea. First is Department of Environment, DOE. Second is Environmental Quality Act 1974, EQA. And the last one is the Ministry of Environment and Water in collaboration with the Marine Department of the Ministry of Transport, National Oil Spill Contingency Plan, NOSCP.
Moving forward to the framework of the study. The framework of the study itself is being concerned more on the Malacca Strait itself. As far as I am concerned, the Malacca Strait is being the world's second busiest international shipping lane. That the strait itself are used by over 15,000 variety of vessels, both large and small, on daily basis. It also been exposed to sea-based pollution from two sources. Firstly is from offshore activities such as oil exploration and mining. Second is from vessel utilization of activities in the straits. On top of that, there are a few relevant domestic laws in the Malaysian Territorial Sea. Firstly is Malaysian Shipping Ordinance 1952, MSO. Secondly is the Malaysian Shipping Act Oil Pollution 1994, MSA. Thirdly is the Environmental Quality Act 1974, EQA. Just for the information, this is among other domestic law that being used in Malaysian Territorial Sea. Throughout the study, it was discovered that providing a viable incentive for the shipping industry to purposefully regulate shipboard environmental activities is the only effective way to maintain environmental control policy as well as recommendation concerning on maritime safety, pollution prevention and many others related matters.
Background information. Cases 1. Collision of Container 1 High 301 and APL Denver. This accident happened on 3rd of January 2017 around Johor Port. The APL Denver has experienced and sustained damage on one of the bunker. This causes 300 tons of oil spill on the sea. The oil purchase has spotted contaminated western side of Pulau Ubin in Singapore. 12 anti-pollution ships has deployed to clean up the oil. Cases 2. Oil leaking from very large oil carrier BLOC Victoria. This happened on 26 July 2016 in the Strait of Malacca. The oil spill has covering 20 nautical miles. The ship has intended to travel from Singapore to Brazil, but according to our Automatic Identification System AIS, this ship has anchored off Singapore. The bulk bridge has taken an immediate step by enacted emergency procedure when they identify the amount of oil leak. Cases 3. Empty Nautical Maharani. This happened in the evening of 28 May 2016 at North Channel, Penang. The amount of oil spill are unknown. The oil spill has traveled 70 kilometers square. This incident only reported after 24 hours. The local government in Penang has declared that the oil spill from empty nautical marine has caused a major disaster on the environment, according to September 2016. The initial culprit and causes remain unknown.
I would briefly talk about limitation and delimitation. For limitation, Malaysia has done a lot of effort to decrease the pollution of oil spill at Malacca Straits, but the problems seems to have no end. It is because of several limitations that prevent Malaysia from successfully decreasing the oil spill by significant numbers. The first limitation is the Department of Environment, which is known as DOE, was given responsibility of enforcement of EQA 1974, but they are not supplied with assets to carry out enforcement. So they need to depend on other agencies which somehow short in manpower, which results the enforcement of EQA is a non-priority. The second one, limitation comes from many agencies that are responsible to enforce various laws and in some area doing redundant role. Malaysia Maritime Environment Enforcement Agency was given the power to enforce all law and order under any federal law, but at the same time all other agencies are still enforced. This way, all of the agencies are making duplication of efforts and makes the efficiency of law enforcement downgraded. The third one, limitations come to the apprehension of vessels that are suspected spilling oil into the sea. From the time the ship was suspected spilling oil, the polluted marine water sample must be taken immediately, because the sample would be worthless if there is delay in examination and the suspected ship will get away. For the delimitation, we have said that it was going to be the research area and the type of pollution. The research area happened to be Malacca Straits, and the type of pollution is ship-caused oil spill.
For the analytical report we finding, we have 4 parts, which is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. So for the strength, number 1 is establish prevention and management of marine pollution. Number 2, have good management and responsible parties. Number 3, have good diplomatic relationship with neighboring countries. For the weaknesses, number 1, lack of information system and training program. Number 2, difficult to clean up oil spill completely. Number 3, require a lot of skill, manpower, and many parties to manage it. And number 4, high costs are required for this operation. For the opportunities, number 1 is collaborate with neighboring countries by combining technology and capability development. Number 2, focus making the Malacca Strait the safest and cleanest route waterway for navigation. Number 3, focus on reduce the marine pollution. And the number 4, conserve natural resources. And for the 3, number 1 is damage water of pollution. Number 2, damaging in ecosystem. Number 3, harmful to marine mammals and birds as well as fish and jellyfish. Number 4, causing various marine pollution. And the last one is disrupt the food chain system.
Possible solution. Responsible agency for oil spill at Malacca Strait. National Oil Spill Contingency Plan are all combined at Malacca Strait. This has been produced on 1975 and has been updated on 1989 and 2000 to extend its coverage includes of east coast of Peninsula Malaysia and Borneo, Sabah, Sarawak, and Federal Territory of Labuan. The Department of Environment and the Ministry of Environment and Water are totally responsible for the oil spill in Malaysia. There are 10 methods for oil spill problem, but there are 5 methods are popular: oil boom, using skimmer, using solvent, burning in situ, and using dispersant. Method 1, oil boom. According to the article from Future Bridge 2020, the oil boom can enclose the oil spill into a smaller area, and the oil boom also can prevent the oil spill from spread over. While, according to Lamar article 2020, this method can be handled by 2 person. So, these methods are really easily to handle. Method 2. Oil skimmer. Oil skimmer or oil scoop can suck up the oil from the sea surface. Method 3. According to article from Future Bridge, burning can remove 98% of oil spill. Lastly, dispersion. Dispersion can be used when oil foam cannot be applied. Dispersion is a chemical agent. It needs to be spreaded on the oil spill. When the dispersion has been spreaded, the oil molecule will bond with the water. Thus, it can be able to be degraded by microbes.
Next is the recommendation. So, despite these challenges, the member agencies should consider these recommendations for implementation as soon as possible in accordance with each agency's procedures that should keep track of oil spill reduction. The following are the strategies being implemented in the Straits of Malacca and also the Singapore Strait to improve navigational safety and also the marine environmental protection. For the first recommendation or strategy is to ensure that the Straits is safe for shipping activities and environmentally protected. Also, the littoral states, user states and the international community should prolong the existing cooperation. It is because the Straits is a major international shipping lane with a high volume of traffic, and also the maintenance issue related to safety of navigation that remain a major challenge for Malaysia, Indonesia and also Singapore. Moreover, since the implementation of the Tripartite Technical Experts Group (TTEG) in 1975, the littoral state of the Malacca and Singapore Straits have collaborated to ensure that both straits are safely used and safe to navigate by all vessels. And they propose the set of guidelines which involving the Marine Department 2016, such as they are encouraged the close collaboration and coordination of anti-pollution policies and measures in the Straits of Malacca. Secondly, attempts to improve the navigation safety. And lastly, commencing the consultation with the International Maritime Organization (IMO) on the traffic separation scheme by all Strait of Malacca users. Secondly is the littoral state need invite broader involvement from the user states such as shipping industry and also the stakeholders to ensure the sustainable contribution in aids to navigation fund. The cooperative mechanism addresses the implementation of LOSC Article 43, which states that littoral and user states should cooperate in improving the navigational safety and also the marine environmental protection by agreement. Thus, the cooperative mechanism has grown steadily and has made a good progress in keeping the Malacca Strait and Singapore Strait safe and clean. The Law of the Sea Convention of 1982 in Article 43 is deals with agreement to secure the navigation and environmental protection and the issue of the security within the straits that is not included in the cooperation. And besides, the cooperative mechanism provides a framework for which littoral states and users of the Strait of Malacca and Singapore may promote the cooperation. So, in return, the strait will be safe and protected and continue to be open for navigation for all types of vessels. This will assist or help in setting priorities for future efforts in improving navigational safety for marine environmental protection with regard to the international and regional initiatives. Last but not least is the legal framework and government policy against marine pollution prevention need to be strengthened by improving the level of compliance and enforcement. The final recommendation is to strengthen the legal framework and government policy against marine pollution prevention by improving compliance and enforcement in order to minimize spreading of marine pollution. It is an effective compliance and enforcement of the adopted international conventions are required to protect the marine environment of the Malacca and Singapore Straits. These recommendations also to point out that the littoral states to the Straits of Malacca and Singapore Strait should adopt more forward-looking perspective in the formulation of legal measures in order to enhance the navigational safety for marine environmental protection.
For the discussion, we are discuss and focusing on three elements, which is causes of oil spill in Malacca Strait, effect of oil spill to environment, and responsible practice for the oil spill in Malacca Strait. For the causes of oil spill in Malacca Strait, number one is Malacca Strait, one of the busiest international route for the vessel. As we know, more than 15,000 vessels passing through the Malacca Strait in one day. Number two, due to the vessel incident, there are three incidents that has been identified in the last 5 years that caused the oil spill in Malacca Strait, which is number one is collision of container 1 high 301 and APL Denver. Number two, oil leaking from the very large oil carrier Bush Buraya, and number three is MT Nautica Maharani. For the effect of oil spill to environment, there are two effects. The first one is immediate effect. Immediate effect cause toxic pollution from vessel will disrupt the food chain on which fish and marine life are highly dependent. For the long-term effect, it damage to organic substrate and food chain system. So, lastly, the responsible parties for the oil spill in Malacca Strait. The first one is Department of Environment, DOE. Number 2, Ministry of Environment and Water. Number 3, Marine Department of the Minister of Transport. Last but not least is all the seafarer.
In conclusion, Malacca and Singapore Straits are facing the same problem, which is oil pollution caused by ship operation in the form of dumping of oil and sludge by ocean-going vessel. However, there is no relevant number of domestic laws developed in the analysis of the marine pollution regulation in the Malaysia Territorial Sea. So, the report aims to identify all the needed information in order to manage related issues and prevent oil spill issue from recurring in the Malacca Straits. In the report, we find that there are limitations needed to be faced by the law enforcer, while the limitation is a limitation that we consciously put so that we get a great research finding. Based on the research, we came out with a few great recommendations, and one of them is littoral states, which is Malaysia, Singapore and Indonesia, and any involved parties to cooperate in their work to ensure the Straits is safe for all activity and environmentally protected. As we know, the Malacca Straits is one of the busiest international routes for vessels. A spill will adversely affect sustainability of Malaysian marine ecosystem and economy. So, by not only hoping for cooperation of other parties such as Singapore and Indonesia for managing oil spill, our own Department of Environment, DOE, should also be the first to get in action. Lastly, to manage the oil spill problem, we all have to be proactive and always search for the better solution.